Imagine hiring someone to clean your house, right?
Okay.
But then when they arrive, they hand you the vacuum and they say, hey, I'll move the sofa, you do the rug.
Yeah, that sounds completely
It
backwards.
totally does. Like, if you're paying for support, conventional wisdom says you should be the one putting your feet up while the professionals do all the heavy lifting.
Right, absolutely.
But in the evolving landscape of supported living, that exact scenario, handing over the vacuum, is increasingly viewed as the absolute gold standard of care.
It is, yeah. It's a really radical shift from the traditional um, institutional models of the past.
Which were very rigid.
Extremely rigid. For decades, the framework around care was entirely transactional and heavily focused on deficit mitigation.
Meaning just fixing what's broken.
Exactly. The metrics were entirely binary. Like, is the person fed? Are they clean? Is the physical environment, sanitized and hazard-free?
Just checking the basic survival boxes.
Right. It was a system that did things to people or for people. And the problem is that inadvertently strips away their agency.
Well, today we are taking a deep dive into a piece of source material that perfectly illustrates this massive shift.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
Me too. It is this vibrant, intensely personal, slice-of-life narrative. It's titled The Transformation of Phil the Washerman, and it was written by Phil Moreland.
It's such a great read.
It really is. And for you listening, we need to establish right up front that this isn't like a white paper on healthcare policy.
Easily not.
And it certainly isn't an academic study. It is a very short first-person story about a friendly man named Phil executing his weekend chores in his flat.
Yet, despite its everyday subject matter, it operates as this really sophisticated masterclass in how to build a supportive community.
Oh, 100%.
It gives us a granular frontline look at the mechanics of person-centered care.
Yeah.
And the sociology of co-production and that really complex balance of mitigating risk while maximizing human dignity.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because Phil establishes the rhythm of his life right out of the gate in the text.
He does.
He tells us he has support coming in on specific days, so Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
But he doesn't refer to them as agency staff or care workers. He has this highly specific name for the group, which is Team Shaftesbury.
And that nomenclature is incredibly significant.
Why is that?
Well, in institutional settings, nomenclature is traditionally used to define the power dynamic.
Oh, like caregiver and patient.
Exactly. The institution assigns those titles. So by renaming them Team Shaftesbury, Phil is actively authoring his environment.
He's the one in charge.
Yes. He is positioning himself not as a passive recipient of a service, but as the captain of a collaborative operation.
And the specific nicknames he uses within that team are just, they're phenomenal.
They're so good.
He mentions Greg, Blessing, and Haley B., but then he introduces us to the friendly dragon Debbie Duck and Chris Captain Smiley.
Such great names.
They really are. Now, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second, though.
Okay, go for it.
While friendly dragon Debbie Duck is an undeniably fantastic moniker, does leaning into these playful nicknames risk obscuring the reality that these are highly trained, paid professionals?
That's a fair question.
Because they're executing a regulated care plan, right?
It is a valid concern. And in poorly managed settings, blurred boundaries can lead to a breakdown in professional standards.
Right.
However, if we look at the communication mechanisms at play in Phil's story, we see a very sophisticated dual relationship.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, Phil notes that he is incredibly excited because another support staff member, Sally, is coming back to support him for 2 days in March.
Oh, right. And he knows this because Haley B. sent him a text message and gave him a call to deliver the news.
Exactly. That peer-to-peer communication style is the mitigating factor here.
Because it's not super formal.
Right. Texting and calling to share exciting news isn't a top-down clinical appointment reminder. It's an equitable exchange.
It's how friends talk.
Precisely. It demonstrates that Team Shaftesbury can maintain their professional duties while still engaging with Phil using the social currencies of genuine friendship.
Yeah.
And that relational trust isn't just about feeling good. It's the absolute prerequisite for physical agency.
Wait, how do you mean?
Well, you cannot comfortably take charge of your physical space if you feel subordinate to the people operating within it.
Oh, wow. That makes so much sense. Which brings us perfectly to the core action of the narrative and the reason behind the title of the story itself.
The Washerman.
Yes, Phil refers to himself as the Washerman. He tells the team to help me put the washing out, and he notes that they act as his washer support staff.
which is such a great reframing of their roles.
It totally is. He mentions they are also good at pot washing and helping him tidy his flat, but the standout interaction centers around a Henry Hoover.
Oh, I love this part.
Right. So Chris, who we know as Captain Smiley, takes the Henry Hoover into the front room. But rather than just plugging it in and cleaning the floor himself, Chris says to Phil, "I will move the furniture while you hoover."
And this is where we see the theoretical concept of co-production materialize into a tangible action.
Tangible action, yeah.
Chris is intentionally dismantling the concept of the passive client.
So what does this all mean practically? Because earlier you mentioned the complexity of mitigating risk.
Yeah, risk management is huge in this field.
Right, and in a highly regulated environment, which adult social care absolutely is, isn't having the supported individual operating heavy machinery, like a vacuum, a potential liability.
It definitely can be seen that way by some.
Like, I can imagine compliance officers breaking into a cold sweat over staff just stepping back to move furniture. How does a care team balance strict health and safety protocols with this level of hands-on empowerment?
That is the defining tension of modern supported living.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It requires an organizational culture that embraces positive risk-taking.
Positive risk-taking.
Yeah. For a long time, the industry standard was entirely risk-averse.
Mm-hmm.
If there was any chance a person might trip over the vacuum cord or, struggle with the physical exertion, the staff would just do it for them.
Just to be safe.
Right. But we know that when you strip away a person's responsibilities under the guise of caring for them, you actively contribute to learned helplessness.
Oh, wow. Learned helplessness. That's heavy.
It is. So Chris's intervention is brilliant because he mitigates the actual barrier, which is the heavy furniture.
While preserving Phil's autonomy over the task itself.
Exactly.
It makes me think of a driving instructor. Like, the instructor has their own set of pedals on the passenger side just in case of an emergency, right?
Right.
But you are the one steering the car and pressing the gas. They aren't driving you to the destination. Their entire job is to ensure you can drive yourself there safely.
That is an excellent analogy.
Chris is providing the scaffolding, basically, but Phil is doing the driving. He wants to be the washerman.
He does. And that gets to the heart of the psychological mechanics here. The goal of Chris bringing the Henry Hoover into the front room isn't actually to get the rug clean in the most efficient manner possible.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
If sheer efficiency were the objective, Chris would just vacuum the room himself in half the time.
True.
The objective is the process of co-hoovering. By facilitating that process, Chris transforms what could be a mundane passive experience into a vital exercise in self-efficacy for Phil.
It totally reframes our standard definition of helpfulness, doesn't it?
It really does.
Like, sometimes being helpful isn't doing the job for someone. It's literally just moving the couch out of the way so they can do it themselves.
Yes, and that takes an immense amount of restraint and emotional intelligence from the support staff.
I bet. They have to constantly calibrate their involvement, I guess. Reading the room to know precisely when to step in and when to step back.
Precisely.
And as the hoovering finishes and the washing is put out, the team moves into a divide and conquer strategy that reveals another layer of this ecosystem.
Yeah, the deep clean.
Yes. Debbie Duck gets a brush. Greg and Blessing tackle the windowsills, and they boldly declare to Phil, "We will have this flat looking amazing."
I love that energy.
Me too. But here's where it gets really interesting. The text explicitly mentions that during this deep clean, the team carefully dusted Phil's cardboard cutouts.
That's a great detail.
And we aren't talking about generic home decor here.
Yeah.
We are talking about Joanne Lumley, Sophie Ellis-Bextor, Kylie Minogue, and Emma Bunton. Baby Spice herself even got a dust.
I know, it is a remarkable detail to include in such a brief narrative.
It really is.
Moving from the functional agency of vacuuming to the emotional curation of the cardboard cutouts represents a profound shift in the type of support being offered.
I mean, it is the exact moment where the flat stops being just a physical structure and truly becomes a home.
Yes.
But to push on the mechanics of this, why is this specific detail so crucial to understanding modern supported living? Like, why not just say they dusted the living room shelves?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it highlights the difference between clinical sanitization and honoring an individual's identity.
Okay, break that down for me.
In older, purely medicalized models of care, a collection of life-size pop culture cardboard cutouts might easily be viewed as clutter.
Just stuff in the way.
Exactly. There are physical obstacles to efficient cleaning. A highly clinical mindset might encourage the individual to put them away in a closet to maintain a sterile, easily managed environment.
Oh, that's a bleak thought. Just like, sorry, Phil, Kylie Minogue is an impediment to our sanitization protocols. That would be devastating.
It would be. But instead, Team Shaftesbury leans into the environment exactly as Phil has designed it.
Right.
By taking the time to carefully dust Joanne Lumley and Sophie Ellis-Bextor, they aren't just applying a generic cleaning standard, they're protecting his sanctuary.
Yeah.
It is a physical validation of his passions.
So it's about respect.
Completely. When support staff treat an individual's personal treasures with that level of dignity, it communicates a very clear message. It says, your space is yours, your interests are valid, and we are here to facilitate the life you want to live, not the life that is easiest for us to manage.
Wow. It's the ultimate expression of person-centered care in action.
It truly is.
When you dust someone's cardboard cutout of a Spice Girl, you aren't just maintaining hygiene, you are honoring their joy.
Perfectly said.
It creates an environment where Phil can feel completely secure because his identity is respected down to the absolute smallest, quirkiest detail.
And achieving that baseline of total security is what enables the narrative to transition into its final, most tranquil sequence.
The end of the day.
Yeah, the environmental order has been restored, the identity has been validated, and now we see the structural realities of how professional care operates.
Yes, the wind down, the high energy of the collaborative cleaning session comes to an end. The flat is looking amazing, fulfilling Greg and Blessing's promise.
Teamwork.
Exactly. They help Phil make his bed, and they put his clothes in the wardrobe. And then Phil notes a very specific administrative detail.
The logging.
Yes, the team puts their notes in Log My Care and says goodbye as they have another home to go to.
And this raises an important point about the unseen infrastructure of supported living. Log My Care is a digital care management platform.
Okay.
And its mention here is incredibly revealing about how the industry has modernized.
I mean, how does a digital platform change the actual vibe of the living room, though? Isn't logging notes just the same old paperwork, just on a screen?
Actually, it represents a massive psychological shift.
Really? How so?
Think back to our earlier discussion about the clinical models of the past. The defining visual of that era was the physical clipboard.
Oh, yeah, the dreaded clipboard.
Right. A staff member standing in your living room holding a clipboard, actively writing notes about you, creates an immediate, visceral barrier.
It screams institution.
Exactly. It constantly reminds the individual that they are under observation. By transitioning that necessary administrative work to a discrete digital app like Log My Care, the physical barrier is removed.
Ah, I see.
The staff can fulfill their strict regulatory requirements without disrupting the domestic, lived-in feel of Phil's home. It's the invisible scaffolding of modern care.
That makes so much sense. It's like a director quietly calling cut. The formal healthcare documentation still happens, but it doesn't erase the warmth of friendly dragon Debbie Duck or Captain Smiley.
Right, it blends right in.
It's a gentle, realistic reminder of their professional boundaries, like they have another home to go to and their long day continues.
Yes.
But because that boundary is managed so seamlessly, it allows Phil to experience a completely different reality.
Precisely. For Team Shaftesbury, they're transitioning to their next responsibility. But for Phil, the work is done.
He did his part.
He was the washerman, he put in the effort, and now he reaps the reward.
And the reward is glorious. He tells us that it was the end of a long day, so he puts his feet up. He goes on Zoom with the Insight app, and in his own words, he just chills out.
That phrase, chill out. It sounds casual, but within the context of adult social care, achieving a state of genuine, unanxious relaxation is a massive metric of success.
Really?
Oh yeah. It means the environment has been successfully optimized for peace of mind.
I'm also fascinated by his use of the Insight app on Zoom. It's not just that he's sitting alone in a clean room, he's immediately engaging with a broader digital community.
And that is a crucial mechanism of modern supported living that we can't overlook, which is digital inclusion.
How so?
Historically, individuals requiring support might have faced high levels of social isolation once the care staff left for the evening.
Because they couldn't just go out easily.
Right. Their social network was limited strictly to physical proximity. But by utilizing platforms like Zoom and community-focused tools like the Insight app, Phil is maintaining his social connectivity entirely on his own terms.
It's another layer of autonomy.
Exactly. He doesn't need Team Shaftesbury to facilitate his evening social life. He has the tools to do it himself.
He earned that relaxation. He co-created his clean environment, his space was respected, and now he's kicking back to connect with friends.
It's a great end to the day.
It is. And he ends the entire narrative with a beautifully distilled reflection. He says, "What a lovely, clean flat, thanks my best support team."
It is a perfect encapsulation of mutual gratitude.
Yeah.
The staff leave knowing they facilitated a high-quality day that empowered the individual, and Phil ends his day surrounded by the tangible results of his own labor, supported by people he genuinely likes.
It's a triumph of the community-based care model.
It really is.
So for you listening, let's retrace the thematic arc we just explored through Phil's day.
Sounds good.
We started by looking at how claiming the narrative, naming your own team Shaftesbury, deconstructs clinical hierarchies and creates the psychological safety necessary for true agency.
Very true.
We examine the tension of co-production, realizing that sometimes the highest standard of care isn't doing a task for someone, but simply moving the furniture so they can confidently run the Henry Hoover themselves.
The co-hoovering.
Exactly. We saw how honoring an individual's unique identity, even if it means meticulously dusting a cardboard cutout of Emma Bunton, transforms a regulated environment into a genuine sanctuary.
Yes.
And finally, we explored how modern digital infrastructure, from care logging apps to Zoom communities, allows for seamless professional boundaries and rich, independent social lives.
What stands out to me is how Phil's narrative proves that the most mundane tasks of daily life, washing pots, making beds, tidying a living room, are never just chores.
No, they aren't.
When navigated correctly, they are vital opportunities for building self-worth and reinforcing human connection.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with as you head into the rest of your week.
Let's hear it.
Consider the title of the source material, The Transformation of Phil the Washerman. The transformation Phil experienced didn't occur because a team of professionals waved a magic wand and made his chores disappear.
Right.
The transformation happened because he actively claimed the title. He took ownership of his environment.
He did the work.
Exactly. So think about the everyday burdens and the deeply mundane tasks in your own life. The administrative hurdles or the household chores you might usually dread tackling alone.
We all have them.
We do. How might applying a proud title to yourself and consciously sharing the load with a support team of your own peers, colleagues, or family members transform a frustrating burden into an unexpected source of personal pride and collaborative victory?
It's a brilliant framing because the dignity isn't in avoiding the work. The dignity is in how we choose to do it together.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll catch you on the next one.